Okay, hi everybody. I'm sad I'm not seeing your faces right now, but this is what things are looking like this week, so we're going to make the best of it. And I hope to get to see each of you next week in class. And please just know that I am praying for all of your families and for wellness. And I'm excited and looking forward to seeing you again soon. So I'm going to teach lesson 51 in this video. I will keep it as brief as possible. Since we're not together, you won't be able to do problems on your whiteboard and show me, but you will complete this. It's attached in Google Classroom. It's lesson 51's reteaching page. So when I finish teaching in this video today, you can look at this paper, you can print it off of Google Classroom and review what we've just learned, and then you can solve problems 1 through 6. Don't glue them into your notebook, your math notebook, until you have scanned them and sent them back to me in Google Classroom, because this is your class credit for Tuesday. Okay, so make sure you complete that page and scan it back into Google Classroom so that I can check your understanding, and we'll go from there. But today's lesson is about multiplying by 2-digit numbers. Okay, so when we multiply by a 2-digit number, we're really multiplying twice. Okay, and what I mean by that is we're going to multiply by the tens and we're going to multiply by the ones places of our numbers. Okay, so here we're multiplying 43 by 12, but since 12 is equal to 10, which is in the tens place, plus 2, we may multiply 43 by 10 and then add that to 43 multiplied by 2. Okay, so if we multiply 43 by 10, we're going to get 430, because anytime we multiply by tens, we can just add that 10 to our number. And if we multiply 43 by 2, we're going to do 3 times 2, which is 6, and then 4 times 2, which is 8, and we'll get 86. Now if we add 430 plus 86, we come up with the answer of 516. Okay? So when we multiply by a 2-digit number, we don't need to do 2 steps every time like I've just shown you. Okay? We can actually do it in a simpler way, but I wanted to break that down and show you. This is called partial products. Okay? The product of 43 times 10 and the product of 43 times 2 are called partial products. I'll write that down so you can see. Excuse me. I feel like I swallowed something. So partial products, and the sum of the partial products of the factors 43 and 2 are going to give us the same answer as if we were just to do our 43 times 2 in this method that we're going to learn today. Most of you have done this. Most of you do this very well. But we're breaking it down today so that we'll all get there and we can see the steps. I'm so sorry I'm coughing. I feel like I just swallowed something. All right, so let's break this down. First, we're going to multiply 43 by the 2 of our number 12, because we're always going to start with our ones place. Okay, so this first number in our ones place, we're going to multiply by the ones place in 43, and then we're going to multiply it by the ones place, or by the tens place in 43. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then 2 times 4 is 8. Now we are done with our ones place. I can just cross that off if I want to, okay? So now remember, we talked earlier in the year about that magic 0. Before we bump over and start working with our tens place, we want to drop and add that 0 right under our ones place in the next slot, okay? Now we're going to multiply our tens place by our ones place up here. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, now if we're talking about a multiplication algorithm, we're going to now add. So 6 plus 0 is 6, 8 plus 3 is 11, 4 plus 1 is 5. And as you can see, our answer here also equals our answer here when we did it using our partial products. Okay, when we did the two-step method of breaking down that number 12 into 10 plus 2 and using the partial products, we still got the same answer, but we didn't have to break it into 2 steps. We used this one single step. Okay, so let me erase this and go over this one more time with you. Okay, so I am looking at example 2 in my book, and I apologize if your book is slightly different because you know how that happens. But my book says a restaurant chain purchased 95 pounds of potatoes for each of its 26 locations. About how many pounds of potatoes were purchased all together? So listen to what this question is asking for, okay? It's asking for how many pounds of potatoes were purchased all together for all 26 locations. So does that sound like we're going to come up with a smaller number? No, it sounds like we're going to come up with a much larger number. So we know we're probably going to have to do either addition or multiplication to come up with that larger number. Okay, so what do we have here? We have 2 things. We have pounds and we have 26 locations. Well, I can't just add 26 locations to 95 pounds because there are 95 pounds of potatoes at each of the 26 locations. So we're going to multiply. We're going to multiply 95 times 26. Okay. So here we go. Remember that we're going to start with our ones place and multiply by the ones place of our top number and then the tens place. So 6 times 5 is 30. We carry our 3. Now we're going to do 6 times 9, which is 54. We add the number we carried to 54. So we have 54, 55, 56, 57. And since there's nothing left, I write the whole number 57 here. Okay? Now I'm ready to move on because I'm done with my ones number. I'm ready to move on to my tens place number. So that means I have to put that little magic 0 down here and hold that place. Okay? Now I can move on to my tens and multiply it by the ones number up here. 2 times 5 is 10, which means I have to carry a 1 this time. And 2 times 9 now is 18 plus my 1, which is 19. And since there are no more numbers, I'm going to put both of those numbers here. We're going to add that up. We get 0, 7, 14, 2. So all together, how many pounds of potatoes did the restaurant purchase? All together, they purchased 2,470 pounds. Okay? All right. Let's see. Let's do a money one before we move on, and then we'll be done. And you can try your practice problems using your multiplication algorithm, okay? And I'm going to try to show you how they do this on your worksheet because, you know, they like to try to show you how to set things up. So I'm going to show you how they do that, okay? This next problem says at 35 cents each, what is the cost of 2 dozen pencils? This is our question. We want to find the cost of 2 dozen pencils when they cost 35 cents each. Okay, so what do we have to know first? we have to know how many is in 2 dozen. So 1 dozen equals 12. And if we have 2 dozen, we can multiply 12 times 2. And we can get 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So now we know 2 dozen equals 24 pencils. Okay? All right. So now we have 24 pencils at 35 cents each, and we want to know the total cost. So let's set that up, okay? We're going to set up our cost, 35 cents, and we're going to multiply that by our 24, okay? And I'm going to show you how they do that here on your little worksheet today. They actually make kind of a grid for you to keep your spacing accurate. So this is all this is. It's just helping you kind of keep your math organized in a good manner, okay? So this is where we're going to start multiplying our ones places, okay? This number 4 is in our ones place. We're going to multiply that number 4 times every number in our top number. So 4 times 5 is 20. I'm going to carry my 2. 4 times 3 is 12. I have to add 2 that I carried. So 12 plus 2 is 14. I'm going to bring that 4 down here, but I have to carry my 1 because I still have something going on up here. Okay, I still have this 0 to deal with. So now I do 4 times 0 is 0, but I carried that 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. Now I'm finished with my ones place, and I can move over here to my tens place, which means first and foremost, I put my magic 0 down here, okay? Now 2 times 5 is 10. I carry my 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. And then I can erase this because that's from last time. 2 times 0 is 0, so I can put that 0 out here, right? Okay, and I don't need this space down here because I'm done now. I'm done with my tens place. There's nothing left here to multiply. We're just multiplying by 2-digit numbers this lesson. So now I do my adding, and I have it nice and lined up here in these dotted lines. So 0 plus 0, 4 plus 0 is 4, 1 plus 7 is 8, and then I have a 0 here. I don't even need to bring that down. I can just leave my answer here. So is 840 my answer? Be careful, because remember the question is asking you how much, what is the cost? So your answer has to be a dollar amount with a decimal sign. Okay, so how do we do that with multiplication? Do I just bring my decimal straight down? Well, it might look like that, but don't do that, not with multiplying, okay? With multiplying, you always want to look at your factors. Remember these things up here, we remember from our vocab quiz last week, are our factors, okay? The numbers that we're multiplying are our factors. So you look at your factors and you ask yourself, how many numbers are behind the decimals in my factors? Well, there's only 1 decimal in these factors. So how many numbers or how many digits come behind this decimal? 1, 2. That means there needs to be 2 numbers behind the decimal in my answer or in my product. So 1, 2. I now have 1, 2 numbers behind my decimal in my product, just like I have it in my factors. And I can remember to put my dollar sign. So our final answer for this problem is $8.40, okay? There's one other thing this lesson talks about, and it talks about the multiplication algorithm presented in this lesson is based on the distributive property. Okay, and what the distributive property says, it applies to situations in which a sum is multiplied. Okay, so for example, in 25 times 10 plus 2. Okay? According to the distributive property, we have two choices here. Okay? We can multiply a sum. We can find the sum and then multiply. So we could find the sum is 12 and then do our multiplying. Okay? Or choice 2, we can multiply each addend and then add the products. So this is kind of going back to that partial product like we did at the very beginning of this lesson. We can say 25 times 10 plus 25 times 2. Either way, we're going to get the same answer in this case, okay? So no matter which way we work out this problem, both choices result in the same answer, which is going to be 300. If you worked out all the math, okay, you would find that the distributive property says that we have two choices when we're multiplying a sum. Remember, a sum is the result of addition. So whenever we're multiplying a sum, we have two choices. Okay, that's distributive property. All right, I want you to grab that lesson 51, and I want you to do problems 1 through 6. Practice this method of multiplying by two-digit numbers. Scan it and upload it back to me so I can check your understanding. And then you can move on to the next lesson. Bye, guys.